This is going to be fun. There's a lot of people close to me who will be hearing this for the first time, but we're going to do it anyways. So, if I take you back to the COVID times in 2020, I went from relatively broke, being, 21, 22, to making 50 grand within 3 months of sports betting, particularly the AFL, and then hitting rock bottom. So, I'm going to take you through that entire journey, and I just want to point that the point of this video is to show you what addiction can look like and how to extract yourself out of that in the present moment. However, this still applies to people who haven't been there yet, are in that journey, and those who are still, or who are in the back end of it and don't know where to go. I do also want to say that I am not against gambling, as contradicting as this sounds. I don't think there needs to be any restrictions / limitations and making it illegal. I think there's a place for it if you're responsible. Self-control. We were blessed with that, to be able to develop that virtue, and is the beauty of life to be able to have that, possess it. So no, I don't. This isn't going to be a video where I demonize gambling and put the blame on them. It's on me. Irregardless of the lack of experience or wisdom that I had going into this journey, it's on me. And it's made me who I am today, and I'm grateful for that. So I just want to get that one out of the way. I would imagine that 95% of the demographic that I'm speaking to here and targeting are men of many ages, because it's embedded into this ladder culture, footy, punts, bets, same game multis, the lot, right? Men have to wear white to an Italian dinner sometimes, more than once, more than 2 times, to realize, hey, you're going to get fucking tomato sauce on your white top. Or you're going to have to touch the stove more than a few times to realize it's hot. And that's just the way it is. I feel like men are prone to that. So that's why I imagine that's what the demographic will be. That's just who we are inherently, fundamentally as males, right? So it started in COVID. I always had a desire for gambling. My dad doesn't mind a pun. And when you grow up around the way that the marketing is developed when it comes to gambling, you do become more susceptible to falling into and passing by these environments where gambling is quite prominent, whether it be at the casino, at the pokies, sports bet. There's many different types of gambling vices, right? So I think, just being in COVID, I didn't have anything to do with myself. I wasn't making YouTube videos. I wasn't working. I was just at home, just sort of swimming in boredom. So I was like, well, what's the next most productive thing? I truly believed at that point in time that I could make money off gambling and do that full time for the foreseeable future. I truly believed that. So there was an element of delusion in there, because I didn't understand and I didn't have... You hear stories, right? You do hear stories about people losing a lot of money, but sometimes it doesn't hit close enough to home for it to rattle into your mind and stay there. It's sort of just a fleeting thought, a fleeting understanding of what gambling addiction can be. So I probably started with as little as $500 in the piggy bank, and I started small. I was like, yeah, cool, $20 there, $30 here. Let's try get this to a K, and then maybe we can go on a holiday or whatever it may be, right? And at one point, and I'll show you the bet slips, because some of you who may not believe me, yes, I really did win this money and I really did bet this big. I think my big break was like a 10-leg multi, and I got up to $1,000. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to put $1,000 on it and see what I can win. And the payout was 20 grand. And ironically, Collingwood was the last leg. It was 2021, or maybe it was 2020. I think it was 2020, sorry. Collingwood was shocking, or not great that year before 21. It was against Adelaide, in Adelaide. And that was a grind of a game. We weren't playing well. It was a difficult game to watch, regardless of whether I had 20K on the line there to win. So anyways, they got up. I was ecstatic. I felt great. 20 grand. You think, all right, cool. Now pull it out. 20 grand. It's more than you ever had in your bank account. Probably 5 times more than what you've ever had in your bank account previously. That's a lot of money to work with. And I didn't really understand how much money that truly was, because at that point I hadn't really worked full-time consistently. So another issue there was fundamentally I didn't appreciate what $1 meant in your bank account and what 20 grand meant and how long it takes to build that up, especially with the current economy that we live in at the moment. So I fall into this vicious cycle, as most of you who have probably experienced this would know. You fall into a vicious cycle where you just always want more. You think, okay, well, I've won 20 grand. Why can't I turn that into 200 grand? So my life ended up turning into these days where I was waking up at 4 a.m. to bet on the NBA, watch the games. I couldn't bet and not watch the games. That was another thing. It took so much time, more time away from me than it probably ever deserved. I was watching the games, writing every emotion, whereas some people can just check the scores and be okay with it. I had to be there, play by play. So I was up at 4 a.m. and was probably up till 12 a.m. because I'd be plotting my bets for the next day. So that was for 3 months, yeah? And the feeling of addiction is weird. I'll try to describe it when it comes to gambling. I've written this down. The feeling of addiction is weird. Nights end after a win, you can't sleep. Nights end after a big loss, you still can't sleep. The morning after you win, you're on the toilet plotting how to turn 40K into 400K. And if you lose, guess what? You're plotting how to turn 500 back into 40K. It's the same feeling despite different outcomes. It's the same feeling whether you lose big or whether you win big. So you tell me, are you betting to win big or are you betting because you love the feeling, the dopamine you get from it, the chemicals in your brain that fucking get your juices flowing and get you hard down there, right? Start with that question and then maybe, hopefully that helps you in this course. Where was rock bottom? When do you hit rock bottom? You don't hit rock bottom when there's 20 bucks left in your bank account because you've still got something to work with. That's the funny thing. You hit rock bottom when you're at zero in the bank, you've got no energy left, and you've borrowed from people before and you owe them. Now, fortunately, I didn't owe anybody. I just zeroed my bank account. I borrowed from people to gamble while telling them I was using the money for different things. But fortunately for me, I didn't end up with a massive debt on my head. So I'm grateful for that. But some people don't have that luxury. They don't have that presence of mind to pull themselves away from borrowing big amounts of money from people that would probably take years to pay them back. So bottom of the barrel, that was bottom of the barrel for me. I think I lost like 20 grand in 2 days. That was the end of it. From like 50 down to 20, down to 10, down to 5. All in a quick span of time. And mind you, I probably should have mentioned at the start, I was banned on most agencies, but I still found a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's why you can't make these things illegal. Because if you want to do it, you fucking find a way to do it, right? Now, at 21, 22, you're dead broke. You're embarrassed to tell those closest to you in fear of their judgment. That's just the reality of being someone who's young. And like I said, there's people close to me, very close to me, who will be hearing this for the first time. So I'm sorry it's taken this long for it to come out, but please forgive me and understand that this was a hard thing to deal with in a moment. And being that young, I didn't know how the reaction was going to be. I needed to deal with it myself. That was at least what I thought. Looking back at it, I'm actually going to ask my question this in real time. Would have I done things differently after the fact? Probably not, because here's another issue with the society. You do something bad or wrong when you're young, and it makes you evil or a bad person. And a lot of people, if I tell them what I did, they would crucify me. which is why I didn't tell. I'm sure some of them wouldn't have villainized me and whatnot, but I didn't want the word to spread as well, right? So yeah, that's an interesting one. I didn't think about that, but I probably would have done things much the same. As funny, I feel like I have the emotional awareness to deal with some really difficult things internally as well. So that's a skill of mine. That is a real skill. Some people need guidance. My guidance was speaking to people, friends I trust, and just time. Time heals everything. Time heals everything. And YouTube, if you want to do it silently, you got the Gambling Anonymous, all that sort of stuff. I didn't go down that route, but you can do that. Yeah, so if you are on this path, try to stop. If you have reached the crossroad that I was at, it's okay. You will heal and become stronger. It's a hidden value in this lesson. It's a big mistake. And it's different to other addiction. It's weird. Like with smoking, you feel the health risks further down in your life. Whereas gambling, it stings so much because 40 grand one day and zero in your bank account the next, fucking stings. It's immediate. It's acute. Whereas you meet other addiction issues further down the line, even with drugs, gear. You can get away with it now while you're young, but eventually you'll pay the price. Yeah. I'm not saying don't gamble. Just be wise. Don't battle the pain. Transfer it. Use that pain for energy. I transferred that pain as energy into everything else I do in life. Energy is not this thing that can't be transferred from one emotion to another. It's transferable. It's interchangeable. So when you're in a lot of pain, use that pain. It's a lot of energy that's festering up inside of you. So I don't want to rant and rave. This is obviously not a feel bad story. If anything, I just want to share my 2 cents. I think this will be valuable to a lot of you. It's going to be difficult to share my story and all the tips and tricks and trials and tribulations within 13 minutes. But if you have any questions, you can join the Discord in the description, and you can actually message me personally or Instagram as well. So those are some options if you want to reach out. But I hope this helps. I think it's important to share these things. I'm healed from it now. I'm stronger because of it, and here we are. So thanks for sticking around, and if you guys want to extend your conversation or share your story, let me know in the comment section. Go Pies.